With your dose of do-it-yourself motivation, I'm Eugene Lowe on A Slice of Life. The Tripartite Committee on the Employability of Older Workers, or TriCom, was first set up in 2005 to recommend measures to enhance the employability of older workers and help them stay employed longer. Importantly, it also aims to positively shape the perceptions and mindsets of employers, employees, and the public towards the employment of older workers. And today, I speak with Basil Danker, who at 74 years old has worked at Raffles Hotel for over 40 years and is today Raffles' resident historian, a walking encyclopaedia of the hotel, and author of the book Memories of a Raffles Original, where he recounts the colourful history of the hotel and the famous guests who have stayed there. I asked Leslie what made him join Raffles Hotel in the first place.
I was studying in the St. Julius Institution, just 2 blocks down the road, and I always admired the hotel. After school, I will walk there just to admire. Then when I finished schooling, I said, there's so many guests there, so many Caucasians. I must go in and have my first beer at Raffles. And when I went in, had my first beer, admired the architecture. Then later on, I said, well, this is the place that I think I want to work because of the architecture. I did not know much about the history at that time, So when I joined the architecture, there's the one that really attracted me, to stand in front of the building, to see the facade with the pediment wall. When you enter the lobby, high ceilings, cornices, tooth and dental architecture, the corridors running around the hotel. So I said, well, this is something good, And then when I joined the hotel, not only the externals attracted me, but I came to learn there's a rich history there. And I told myself, if I'm going to make this my home, going to stay in Raffles, I must know. Then I came to learn about a lot. At Somerset Maugham, when he came to Raffles 1921, 26 and 59, he said Raffles stands for all the fables of the East.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up as well, because obviously, besides the look and the feel of the hotel, its guests also lend it quite a bit of its charm as well, isn't it?
Oh, yes. You see, and when Somerset Maugham stands for all the fables of the East, then I told myself, Raffles had a lot of fables, a lot of history, a lot of stories to tell. Then I began to go into the history of the hotel. And it's a very unique beginning. Raffles Hotel, and one would think the first proprietors was the British or a local, but on the contrary, they were Armenians. They came to Singapore to start a hotel because it was the golden age of travel, 1880 to 1939. A lot of British were coming here, so they took advantage. And when they came here, the humble beginning started in the 10-room bungalow. Leased from the Arab trader, converted to the hotel, and they put up extensions until the year 1915, the benchmark year of Raffles, where all the wings were existed. And then a lot of events took place also. The famous Singapore thing, for example, I learned it was created in Raffles Hotel by the bartender Nyam Tong Boon in 1915. And that made the hotel famous.
That was before you had your first beer there, was it?
Oh, yes, before I had my first beer. I didn't know what the Singapore Sling was at that time.
Okay, all right.
And incidentally, this year, we are celebrating 100 years of the Singapore Sling creation, A lot of events took place.
It must have been a very remarkable and fascinating time for you. And then when one hears your story and you're working at Raffles Hotel, obviously one has a very perfect, idyllic, image of working in Raffles Hotel during that time and over the years as well, during that golden age as well, right? But were there any challenges or anything unexpected that perhaps threw you off a little, when you were working at Raffles Hotel in the beginning?
Well, first of all, I joined the hotel way back before the restoration. And when I joined, I was in different departments. I joined first in the maintenance department, then transferred to many departments. But I didn't have much documents on the history. So whatever the hotel got, I pick up from there. At that time, no computers, so I couldn't go into the Google. So I went to the library, National Library, and made studies about the hotel, And these were the challenges, that some of the facts which I picked up before the restoration were not accurate. It was only during the restoration when they sent out the media report, I picked this up, kept, and I studied, Because I said, if I'm going to be part of the hotel, I must know. Just like an ambassador, you must know your country, you must know your laws, you must know the history. So too, I told myself, if I'm going to be an ambassador, well, I must know the Raffles Hotel.
Yeah, and you have evolved through many roles at Raffles Hotel. Today, you are the guest relations manager.
No, I'm the resident historian.
Resident historian. And actually, before that, you started as a site supervisor, and then you were later promoted to chief information officer to guest relations manager as well. So obviously, many roles throughout your years there. Let's talk about first your site supervisor role. You were working closely with engineers, architects, and interior designers overseeing the entire restoration process. What was the most difficult thing about the restoration for you?
Okay, we were all with the old management. Then the new company bought over. They were given the job of restoring the hotel. So all of us with the previous company were told that you have to find a job. And when the new company started, I was the only one taken in. So I was there before, during, and after. And what is good is that I've seen the hotel being brought back to what she used to be, to the year 1915. And during that period, I worked with the professionals, the engineers, the architects. And the challenges I faced, that I was not a technical person, but I came to learn how to read architectural drawings and mix with engineers, S-piling and whatnot. So, and I think also what is memorable for me is that during the restoration, I discovered certain things which confirmed the history of the hotel. Like I said, the hotel started in 10-room bungalow. When we removed the flooring in the main building, I saw the flooring of the 10-room bungalow. There were horse stables in the Bras Basah wing. The owner moved up. Sarkis put that one in 1904. And again, when we removed the flooring, I saw used horseshoes. At the back of the hotel, when we were doing excavation, I saw the skeleton of a full-grown horse. So when I talk to people nowadays, I can be a living testimony of what happened. I tell them 10-room bungalow, and I know it was. I saw the foundation of the bungalow,
And many of these first-hand experiences at Raffles Hotel, you've actually compiled into a book called Memoirs of Raffles Original that is available at Raffles Hotel and at MPH as well. So do pepper our conversation with any of these stories that come to mind as we're chatting about your experience working there. Of course, we're starting with that one about that horse skeleton who has the opportunity to witness that. Well, you moved on to become like chief information officer, guest relations manager, and today you're the official historian of Raffles Hotel. I'm just wondering, throughout these roles that you had over there, were you given the roles, or did you aspire to go into those roles yourself?
I think what happened is that even before the restoration, Raffles is so well known. When people walk into the hotel, can someone talk to me about the hotel? I didn't know much. I told you, so I pick it up. But during the restoration, I pick up all the media reports, Because when we were doing the restoration, we sent out these media reports about, for example, the main building, what's happening, the history, bar and billiard room, the history. So I collected all this. And not only I was attracted by the external, I went into details. Just like a couple when they fall in love. They want to know the likes and dislikes and everything. So I told myself, if I'm going to talk about Raffles, I must know everything, of Raffles Hotel.
You must have that hunger, that thirst for knowledge, right?
So I began to speak every time. Even after the restoration, I was appointed as guest relations manager. And still, I talk about the history. And the hotel will always call upon me, there's a guest wanting to know about history. So after some time, the general manager who's not here, he told me, well, Leslie, you talk so much about the history of the hotel, I'm going to change your designation to resident historian.
And Leslie continues to regale me with his fascinating stories and his experience as an older worker, now the resident historian of Raffles Hotel, in just a few minutes here on 938 Live. I'm Eugene Low on A Slice of Life chatting there with 74-year-old Basil Danker, who has been working with Raffles Hotel for over 40 years. My chat with Leslie continues in a while. I'm Eugene Law on A Slice of Life, your dose of do-it-yourself motivation on 938 Live. And I continue to be mesmerized by the stories of 74-year-old Basil Danker, who has been working with Raffles Hotel for over 40 years, has written a book called Memoirs of a Raffles Original, and is today a walking encyclopedia of all things Raffles Hotel. He is the official resident historian of Raffles Hotel as well. My chat with Leslie continues. And of course, this conversation is beginning to sound like a history interview, which of course it partly is. But another main reason that why you're in today to chat with us, Leslie, is because of the Tripartite Committee on the Employability of Older Workers, or TriCom, which was first set up in 2005 to recommend measures to enhance the employability of older workers and help them stay employed longer as well. And you've been a beneficiary of this initiative as well by the government. But you were telling me that, Raffles Hotel has always been a very elderly and age-friendly sort of place to work in. Tell us more about your thoughts on why you think Raffles Hotel has such a positive attitude towards its older workers.
I think that what's important is see the contribution that we can give to the company. Like for myself, I was so deep into the history of Raffles Hotel, and I knew that, as a resident historian, I can expose the hotel and talk about the hotel. Then my age was coming up. When I reached 62, was the retirement age. But Raffles is special. Long before the directives came out, they gave me a year-to-year contract. So I've been continuing this contract year to year, They take care of the older workers and also value added. And I continued. And then what happened? After some time, also flexi. They said, well, you've been long here enough. We would like to ask you to work on a part-time basis. At first, it was a bit sad, that separation, the building that we were. But then I thought to myself, well, it's good. It gave me time to be with the hotel. It gave me time to be, especially at that time, 2 grandsons. Tyler and Kian. I took care of them, my wife and myself. Gave me more time to spend at a library, and also to continue giving contribution to society. I became a member of the neighborhood committee. So I think that the Raffles really, 62, most companies say, okay, you can stop. But Raffles, long before directive, they employed us year-to-year contract, depends on our performance and medical health.
Yeah, and that's quite important as well, because many people, when they think about extending the employment of older workers, they always think full-time or remaining the same, right?
Yes.
But very often this can take the form of a part-time sort of thing, something more flexible. And then during that time of that stage of your life as well, you do want to think about other things as well, right?
Yes.
You do want work to be your whole life, isn't it? There's family
work
and other things,
balance.
your own, exactly. So that was before TriCom was set up. After TriCom was set up, though, how did you personally, benefit from the measures that were maybe being encouraged by TriCom?
What measures are you talking about?
Did you have any personal after TriCom was set up? That is, or did you always feel this sort of very positive attitude towards you as an older worker all the way from the beginning?
Yeah. All the way from beginning. Because the most important thing, when you continue to work, you must ask yourself what contribution you can give to the company.
Yes, exactly right.
That's important. And not only to the company, the Raffles Hotel, contributing to Raffles, talking about the hotel, the Raffles Hotel, doing the interview. You're not only contributing to the company, you're contributing to society, to the world. Because throughout my interviews I've done on TV and radio, I get emails coming back to me, wonderful presentation of history. Now we know better. I'll send my clients there. And just 2 weeks ago, I did a history tour for a guest, and he told me that the hotel so well, all the facts, you're better than Google.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is a two-way street, right? I mean, for some people, they always expect, like when for these initiatives coming from the government and policies, etc., they do expect, it should be a handout, from the government, and these are things that the company or the employer must do or should do, regardless of whether how good a worker you are. Right? But obviously, you do have to be a good worker as well to expect the company to want to continue to hire you. What about tell us about your contribution. How good a worker do you think you are or were to Raffles Hotel, and what did you bring to it?
Okay, how it benefited me. it motivated me to study more on the hotel. And when I bring guests around or journalists, some questions which they ask, I do not know the answer, but I don't just leave it like that. Because the next guest, the next journalist asked me, I give an example, when I brought a guest to the presidential suite, the Stanford Raffles suite, the Saki suite, they asked me, how big is this suite? Got me, Then I went to make studies. The next guest, how big is it? 259. Saki's 263. How big is your hotel? 27,731 square meters. And I think also that you must look at the company you're working for. Raffles is special. It's known worldwide, And I began to be attached to
you are held to higher standards in a way as well because of that, right?
Yeah. And I began to be attached to this hotel because in the Manila Times in 1907, it stated, say Raffles to any tourist anyone, it at once thinks of Singapore. You see? And even our first proprietors, the Sakis brothers, long before they saw that the hotel will be the leader. And in the advertisement on 24th of July 1905, he said, we lead, others may follow. Then I told myself, well, we are leading, and I also want to work for the best. Any person will always want to work for the best. And here again, the Sakis brothers put an advertisement in the papers, 10 October 1905. Please remember, we are no better than the best, but better than the rest. So all this gave me the motivation to really to do something for the hotel,
Right. And obviously at that time, it was something that was spontaneous from you, this desire to learn more about the hotel, this desire to gain more knowledge so it could be more valuable to the guests and to your employer as well. These days we call it lifelong learning, and there's something we feel very familiar with that as well. But you yourself had this natural inclination. So we find that it is true that this thirst for knowledge and to keep learning and to keep growing in information and knowledge is one of the keys to remaining employable. Yeah.
And you were talking lifelong learner what? I kept on studying, and what happened in 2005, the hotel nominated me for this lifelong learner award. And there were a few hundreds who were nominated. And I was chosen, and I received the award from the former President Naiden, lifelong learner award, And it's important, we just cannot be satisfied and that's what we know and finish. Go on learning and learning and learning. I know so much about the hotel, and yet I read. And another important fact also, I realized that, where's Raffles? They said Raffles is Singapore, Singapore is Raffles. So you must know your history of Raffles, of Singapore also. And I made a lot of studies on Singapore because when I talk to guests, they ask me a lot of things on Singapore. And this is a contribution, I think, also to the hotel,
74-year-old Leslie Danker and resident historian of Raffles Hotel. Leslie has been working with Raffles for over 40 years and he continues to chat with me about his experience as an older worker in Singapore here on A Slice of Life Hour with me, Eugene Low, on 938 Live, happening here on 938 Live in just over half an hour after headline news. I'm Eugene Low on A Slice of Life Hour on 938 Live, and today I'm speaking with 74-year-old Leslie Danker, who has been working with Raffles Hotel for the past over 40 years. He is today Raffles Hotel's resident historian. He's even authored a book called Memoirs of a Raffles Original. And my conversation with Leslie continues with me asking him what message he would like to send out to employers regarding hiring older workers or extending their employment.
I think that as long as the older worker can contribute to the company or to an organization, they should retain them. Who has the best experience? The older workers. You see, they know so much. The younger workers come in, the older ones have to teach them and show them what to do and what not. So they should keep on working, employing the older workers, because of the knowledge and the experience. And as the saying goes, you work as long as you can and you'll be healthier and happier for it.
But of course, we have to understand that there might be some challenges as well to being an older worker in a company.
Yes, maybe physically.
We have to be, we have to be realistic about it. And the thing is, the more we understand what these difficulties are, the more we can learn to mitigate them and to work around them, right? So can you share with us perhaps some of the challenges you faced as a worker growing older through the years at Raffles?
For me?
Yes, for you.
Well, what is important to be in a company and to go on working, I told myself I have to be active.
You have to remain healthy, right?
Yeah. And active where and healthy where? Mentally. You see, and that's why every night I read. And when I'm taking the train down, I read in the train also to keep the mind active, Otherwise, you just relax very hard. And my colleagues in the hotel say, how you can remember all those days? You keep on reading and reading,
Yeah.
And you have to be physically fit. My age, I still swim 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And my colleagues tell me, how you manage to find time? I said, you don't manage time. There are 24 hours, no discount. You manage yourself.
Yeah, correct. I mean, they say excellence is a habit, right? And
Yes.
it's true of older people, younger people as well. I mean, even for younger people, we will forget things if we don't continue to remind ourselves, right? It's not just older people who have memory problems. Young people do all the time as well.
And you must gain the respect. Like for me, they respect because of my knowledge on the history of Raffles and everything. And so much so that the hotel staff, they call me Papa Danker.
Yes, you must capitalize on that, right? Because
Yes.
that is your value as an older worker, your experience and knowledge. You really have to hone that and to make that your own. I'm just wondering also, because of your years there, and you mentioned younger people coming in to work with you and all that. Did you have any problems or difficulties working with these kind of multi-generational workforce that you have at Raffles?
I think that what is important that is your personality. You must be friendly, outgoing towards these people. You build up the friendship and easier for you to talk to them or train them. Like for me, I do history training for the new employees, for staff of the departments, That friendliness, the approach, you can reach out to them.
You shouldn't view them as a threat, right?
Yes. Like the question had been asked, what happens when you resign, when you retire? Who's going to take over? Well, I said, I've trained someone, and now in the process of training most of the staff in the rooms division, they're meeting the guests, And there's no threat because the experience I went through and the knowledge I have, there's a data bank here. It takes them a long time to catch up, but it's no problem. And I wish somebody can be like me, take over and talk about the hotel where guests will say, well, you make my stay come alive. Many of the guests told me, you make my stay come alive. Somerset Maugham stayed here. And Rudyard Kipling also came here. And I think the respect is that my knowledge, and also I have met the certain VIPs, I met John Wayne, I met Gavin Young, I met James Michener, I met the Queen of England, Michael Jackson. All these, build up your status. The most important is the respect, and then as an older worker, you teach them to think out of the box. When there's a problem, everywhere in any organization, you're working with people. There's problems, but they just don't be just remain on the problem. I say life is too short to be stressed by an issue that doesn't deserve to be in your life.
Exactly. Being open, being sincere, seeing whether the younger or older people as as partners, as collaborators rather than competitors.
That's
right?
important.
I mean, there is more than enough for everyone, really, and so we should be working together more instead of treating each other like enemies, right? And through the years as well, you've compiled your experiences, your conversations with your guests, and all the colorful experiences you had at Raffles Hotel into a book called Memoirs of a Raffles Original. Would you care to share some of your more memorable memoirs, Leslie, from that book?
Well, the book I've written in such a way that I talk to a couple and I bring them around the hotel. When you reach that location, I will describe about what happened there. And very popular question or very popular incident is the bar and billiard room, where the tiger was shot under the bar and billiard room. People cannot believe, because when you go to Raffles Hotel, it's on the flat ground. But the first bar and billiard room built in 1896 was an elevated building. And the tiger escaped from the circus, went under the building. Then the principal of Raffles Institution, whom they summoned, and he came and shot the tiger under the building. And this is true because it happened in the Straits Times, 13 August 1903. So whenever I tell this thing, they ask me, is it true? Or are you making story? I ask them, is it my story, tiger's tale, or fairy tale? And I tell them, it's in the papers, 13 August, you can check, Yeah. And a lot of guests heard about it and they want to know exactly what happened. Some said, was a myth or fairy tale, or you making experience, just making up stories, to add to the history of the hotel.
And I can see, how valued you are as a worker at Raffles Hotel as well, because, these are the things that you cannot get from anybody else, because these are things that happen to you. They're unique to you.
Yes.
And because you've spent so much time there as well. So when guests come in, you bring them around. Even to this day, do you still bring the guests around and then tell them about what different parts of the hotel mean and what history was like, how they came about?
That's why I said, the journalist said, Raffles is Singapore, Singapore is Raffles. So when they make reservation to come and stay at Raffles Hotel, they are not only coming to stay in the suite and taste the food and drink, but they know that Raffles has a lot and rich history. And they request, even before coming in through their reservation, or when they're staying there, they request to the butler, can somebody talk to me, And then a lot of organizations, corporate companies, all request. When they organize dinner, for example, for the foreigners, can you get the resident historian to give a brief history of that? And these are all foreigners.
Yeah.
And they're really happy, to get it from somebody who's been there. This is my now 42 years here in Raffles Hotel, rather.
Right.
And next March I'll be 43 years old.
Right. Nostalgia must be such a huge part of the charm of Raffles Hotel, right? And of course, Raffles Hotel has gone through so many changes over the years, although, its essence they've tried to preserve the essence of it. If I were to ask you, perhaps what is one thing, from your past that you would like to see come back to Raffles Hotel? And if is that possible? Not the tiger, obviously, but
of course not.
but some other things, perhaps. Anything at all in your memory that you fondly cherish, but perhaps it's not part of the hotel anymore. That perhaps you would like to share with us, and maybe they might even consider trying bringing it back in some form or semblance.
Well, because the hotel was restored and brought back to the year 1915, so all the extensions are all gone. So. I work in those places. I feel like, it should bring back, but cannot, because historically that the 1915, the extensions were all up already, And I think now because of the procedures and everything, it's different. Like, for example, when I worked there, no computers, so everything was done manually. The only sad part was that all the records of the guests who stayed there were all destroyed, before the restoration. They could bring that back. It would be wonderful, I've seen guest names on the registration book 1910. There are a lot of guests who stayed there,
And obviously their signatures would be quite worth of in this day and age. 74-year-old Basil Danker, who has been working with Raffles Hotel for over 40 years and is today their resident historian. He's also the author of Memoirs of a Raffles Original, which is available at Raffles Hotel. I'm Eugene Low, and you're listening to A Slice of Life on 938 Live. Coming up, acting your shoe size and not your age. An article from the Happy for Life app that was forwarded to me by my good friend and colleague Will Xavier. Also, a beautiful piece of music from the 2005 movie soundtrack Pride and Prejudice, suggested by Wen Ho, and a special heartfelt message from Sharon, who writes about her rejection experience, and a song from Mariah Carey that she would like me to play as well. All that happening here on A Slice of Life R with me, Eugene Low, in a few minutes. I'm Eugene Low on A Slice of Life R on 938 Live, and the show continues with some meaningful media, and I've been asking for some of your suggestions for pieces of music, poems, excerpts from books, what have you, anything that you find inspirational or meaningful. Tell me what it is and tell me why. Email me at eugene@mediacorp.com.sg, and I'd like to say thank you to Wen Ho, who has written in, sharing this piece of music with me from the 2005 movie soundtrack of Pride and Prejudice, composed by Dario Marianelli. It's called Dawn. Thank you, Wenho, for suggesting that beautiful piece of music by Dario Marianelli from the soundtrack of Pride and Prejudice, a piece called Dawn. Now, if you want to be happier, then you need to release your inner child. Act your shoe size and not your age, goes an article in the Happy for Life app. This was forwarded to me by my good friend and colleague Will Xavier. And I quote from the article, "As adults, it seems that we are constantly pursuing happiness, often with mixed results. Yet children appear to have it down to an art. And for the most part, they don't need self-help books or therapy. Instead, they look after their well-being instinctively and usually more effectively than we do as grown-ups. Perhaps it's time to learn a few lessons from them." First, express your emotions. What does a child do when he's sad? He cries. When he's angry, he shouts. Scared? Probably a bit of both. As we grow up, we learn to control our emotions so they are manageable and don't dictate our behaviors, which is in many ways a good thing. But too often we take this process too far and end up suppressing emotions, especially negative ones. What we need to do is find a way to acknowledge and express what we feel appropriately, and then again, like children, move on. The article from the Happy for Life app continues to say, be easily pleased. A couple of Christmases ago, my youngest stepdaughter, who was 9 years old at the time, got Superman t-shirt for Christmas. It cost less than $5, but she was overjoyed and couldn't stop talking about it. Too often we believe that a new job, bigger house or better car will be the magic silver bullet that will allow us to finally be content. But the reality is these things have very little lasting impact on our happiness level. Instead, being grateful for small things every day is a much better way to improve well-being. More lessons from children goes the article from the Happy for Life app. Ask for help. When one of the girls needs help blow-drying her hair or cutting out a fiddly shape for a craft project, she just asks. She doesn't worry about whether it's convenient or whether she's being a burden, because she's secure in the knowledge that we love her and are willing to put ourselves out for her. Why should we expect less of our relationships once we reach adulthood? We may not require the same kind of parental care, but everyone needs help once in a while, whether it's a lift when the car breaks down or a shoulder to cry on during a difficult time. And be silly. Have you ever noticed how much children laugh? If we adults could indulge in a bit of silliness and giggling, we would reduce the stress hormones in our bodies, increase good hormones like endorphins, improve blood flow to our hearts, and even have a greater chance of fighting off infection. And don't overthink it. It's important to add that we shouldn't try too hard to be happy. Scientists tell us this can backfire and actually have a negative impact on our well-being. As the Chinese philosopher Chuang-Tzu is reported to have said, happiness is the absence of striving for happiness. And in that, once more, we need to look to the example of our children, to whom happiness is not a goal, but a natural byproduct of the way they live. So much wisdom in that short article. Thank you very much, Will, for forwarding that to me. And that was an article taken from the Happy for Life app, forwarded to me by Will Xavier. One of my Facebook followers, Sharon, has written in as well. And she says, "Hi, Eugene. My name is Sharon. I just want to say a huge thank you for sharing the topic about rejection. It brought tears to my eyes. I would like to share my rejection story. I've unintentionally hurt a guy that I truly love. Due to my insecurities and anger issues, I've said many hurtful things to him. I took 3 months away from him just to completely change and improve myself. Just recently, I came back into his life feeling really apologetic, but he doesn't want me back in his life. He doesn't even want to talk to me. I've not heard from him. I feel rejected and sad. I just hope he realizes that I'm worth another shot. I've tried losing weight, a couple of pounds, just so he would accept me. I'm now starting to embrace self-love and self-acceptance due to your constant encouragement. Please play the song for me, Mariah Carey's We Belong Together."
I didn't mean it when I said I didn't love you so. I should have held on tight, I never should have let you go. I didn't know nothing, I was stupid, I was foolish, I was lying to myself. I could not fathom that would ever be without your love. Never imagined I'd be sitting here beside myself. Cause I didn't know you, cause I didn't know me, but I thought I knew everything. I never felt the feeling that I'm feeling now that I don't hear your voice, or have you touch and kiss your lips, cause I don't have a choice. this is too deep. I gotta change the station, so